everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. It is match day. We are back at Old Trafford in the festive period just before New Year. Look, we got 3 points for Christmas. Can we get 3 points going into 2026? We got them against Newcastle. This time it's match day against Wolves. Once again, 1 minute you're at the Molineux, next minute you're at Old Trafford. And look, when we're in the hunt for back-to-back Premier League wins at Old Trafford, there is no other team I'd rather play to do that than Wolves. Look, I feel a bit sorry for them actually. 2 points. Hopefully they're still going into 2026 on 2 points. But they are arguably the worst team on paper in Premier League history. One of the worst teams in Premier League history without a doubt. However, it's a weird one because this season, anyone can beat anyone. Anyone can take points off anyone. And West Ham are relegation fodder. I genuinely believe that West Ham are going to go down, by the way. Leeds really look like they've got a bit of life to them. They look like they've got a spark. I'm actually worried to play Leeds in our next game. But West Ham, I just don't see anybody else going down apart from... I think you've got Burnley that are probably going to go down. I mean, Wolves are absolutely nailed on no matter what they do against us at Old Trafford. They are going to go down without a doubt. And I think it's going to be West Ham, the other one. And West Ham came to Old Trafford and they got a draw. And we have more players out now. So look, I don't ever say it's a guaranteed 3 points. I never do. And I watched the Wolves versus Arsenal game and they should have got a point. I genuinely believe they should have got a point against Arsenal. If they come here and park the bus, we might find it difficult. We are depleted. Although against Newcastle, it was a very good defensive performance. Lisandro Martinez was an absolute beast at the back. Aiden Heaven is the best he's ever played in the United shirt, was terrific. Lahermans was top, his positioning, the relief he took off his back line, he was fantastic. And I do think certain players stepped up to the plate, Dorgu being one of them again. This time, we're even more depleted as Mason Mount might be out. Look, we are really running on fumes right now. Ruben Amorim did his press conference and Bruno Fernandes is absolutely, definitely 100% without a doubt, even though he keeps pestering Ruben Amorim to play. He's an absolute madman, by the way, but I love him for it. Even though he's been pestering to play, Ruben Amorim said you can write it. He's 100% not playing against Wolves. Kobbie Mainoo apparently is still out. There is a bit of time passed between his press conference to now. Whether he can make it, let's see, but I doubt he'd be starting. And Mason Mount is touch and go. That's your three main creative midfielders out the game. Out of the game. It's a big ask for anyone coming into that team. Do you go with Jack Fletcher? Do you go with Xerxes? Look, I think Jack Fletcher did actually pretty well in that second half. I really do. He was coming into a super intense game. He barely got any time on the ball, but he kept his position well. He hunted down the press really well. Put some good tackles in, kept his position, and look, we didn't concede with him on the pitch. I want to see what he's about on the ball, but look, as good as Jack Fletcher might be in the future, he's not Bruno Fernandes with tons of Premier League experience and the captain of the team. He's not Mason Mount, who's gone and won a Champions League in his previous club and who's on really good form and used to that Premier League pace. He's not Kobbie Mainoo, who's gone and won man of the match in against one of the best teams in the Premier League. Jack Fletcher is a really good, promising young talent, but it's a lot to ask for to get him to come in and emulate that type of performance. However, I would actually go with him in the starting lineup over Joshua Xerxes. I think Joshua Xerxes' head's in Roma. He did not look up to it at all when he came on against Newcastle. And look, I know it was a really tough job, and I actually think back end of last season, he showed a little bit of something. He showed that he had good attributes that he could build off, but this season he's just not impressed really at all, and in that Newcastle game looked a shadow of a player I once saw. So I actually would go with Jack Fletcher over Joshua Xerxes if Mason Mount isn't available. I would go and show faith in a player that, look, Joshua Xerxes is going to be going. He wants to go to Roma, he's waiting on that move. Jack Fletcher's the future of this team. He might not be able to go in and put a Bruno Fernandes man of the match performance together, but he's the future of this team. Amorim clearly trusts him. He brought him on in a really pivotal moment of the game. Yeah, he may have been forced into it, but he's got history at this club. And I do think if you give him a bit more of an opportunity against a team that aren't going to be on you quite as much as Newcastle were, for example, I think Wolves are going to come to Old Trafford and park the bus. I think we'll have quite a lot of possession. Jack Fletcher could get on the ball and show what he's about, and he could really build his confidence. So, don't get me wrong, if Mason Mount is fit, I'm going with Mason Mount. But if he's not, I'm going with Jack Fletcher. I really am. I want to give him an opportunity. I want to give him a chance. And I've heard some really good things about him as well. So let's see what Amorim does there. Other names I definitely look out for is Cunha against his old club. Cunha is shown sparks of what it is to be a Manchester United player. And genuinely, with Cunha, I think he's a rough diamond. I genuinely do think he's a rough diamond. thank you, Wolves, for selling him to us, because I think he has the exact personality and firepower that you need to be a Manchester United player. Does he make the wrong decision at times? Yes. Does he carry the ball a little bit too much at times? Does he shoot when he should pass? Sometimes does he pass when he should shoot? Yeah, his final decision making needs work, but he's an absolute beast. He's genuinely one of the best ball carriers I have ever seen in the flesh. He's super strong, he's quick, he has got really good close control. I think if someone genuinely works one-on-one with Cunha and Amorim can get the best out of him, he could be one of the best players in the league. I think he's so good, but he's a rough diamond. I think he's only showing about 50% of what he can actually do. And he's still really good and still is one I think has to be in this team. And I expect him to be the one to turn up against Wolves. I'm actually predicting him to score against Wolves, by the way, in this game. No Bruno, no Mount, no Mainu, no Mbumo, no Ahmad. I'm expecting Cunha to step up, and I thought he led from the front really well against Newcastle, actually. I thought he carried the ball really well. Should he release it sometimes? Yes, but I thought he did a really, really good job. So I'm excited about Cunha. Like I said, I think he just needs to keep building on his performances, working behind the scenes on that decision-making, but there's a seriously, seriously good player in there. Really, really good. Proper rough diamond, in my opinion. Still really good, but could be absolutely top. Look, what I'd want to change from the Newcastle game is Aiden Heaven, Dorgu, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Lamens, all had really, really good performances. Casemiro, I thought, was really good when he was on the pitch. Ugarte had a good performance. Ugarte thrives in them sort of games, though. Ugarte thrives when he's back against the wall, under the cosh, not as much possession, defending. That's where he does really well. In this game against Wolves, where I expect United to be on the front foot, I expect us to have majority possession, will Ugarte be as good as he was in that game? Probably not, because he doesn't have much on the ball, but there's no one else to play there. He's going to have to play. Defensively, I don't want to have to defend as much as we did against Newcastle. Wolves don't offer anywhere near as much threat as what Newcastle do, so I don't want to have to be relying on the likes of Aiden Heaven, Lisandro Martinez to constantly get us out of trouble. I would like to see us pose more of an attacking threat, but that involves us getting the ball at the pitch, it involves us sustaining pressure, and I think in that second half we really struggled to string the passes together to dictate from the back without that Bruno Fernandes type figure in there. So Lisandro Martinez will be key in this. I think Casemiro as a leader in the middle of the park will be key at this. Cunha will be key at this. I think Sesko, his hold-up play will be key at this. But I really want to see us pose more of a threat. Is it going to be difficult when Bruno Fernandes is out and he's got 7 assists this season? Is it going to be difficult when Brian Mbumo is at AFCON and he's got 7 goals this season? Yes, it will. But I think it's time for the likes of Cunha and Sesko to really step up and show what they're about as well. So, yes, we are depleted. Yes, we've not got the ideal starting 11 that we would want. But there's still a team that's definitely good enough there to go and beat this Wolves side. Look, this Wolves side have got 2 points. If they walk out of here with 1 point, I'll be absolutely devastated. To walk out of here with 3 points would be an absolute disaster. Will Ruben Amorim play a back 4? Will he play a back 3? He's spoken in his press conferences that he's got to that time where he said he always planned this at United, where he's going to be able to change possession from a back 3 to a back 4. He said even when players come back, he's still going to play sometimes with only 2 defenders with a back 4. I think he'll go for a back 4 in this game. And I think he'll go for the exact same lineup as he did against Newcastle, apart from I think if Mount's injured, I think he'll put Jack Fletcher in there. I actually think he will. I don't think he'll go with Xerxes. I don't think he can go with Xerxes. If Xerxes gets injured, his move to Roma is off, and we might need that money to go for the likes of a midfielder in January. And I also don't think Xerxes covered himself in glory at all with that cameo that he made against Newcastle. However, against Wolves, he's going to get a bit more space. He won't be bullied as much, and he is more experienced than Jack Fletcher, which might mean he goes for it. Plus, he won't be playing as a striker, he'll be playing in a 10, where I think Xerxes thrives a little bit more. Look, Xerxes not good when he's asked to, beat centre-backs in the air and hold it up. What he is good at is getting the ball into his feet and holding it up. He's a technical player. He's techie with his feet. That is one of his strengths. He'll have a bit more time against Wolves, so maybe you'll see him go down that road. But I think it will be the same 4 at the back. I think it'll be Dallo right back. I think it'll be Aiden Heaven. Cannot be dropped. He's doing fantastic. I think it'll be Lisandro Martinez. Really good partnership together. I expect him to be captain again, and he captained that side really well against Newcastle. I expect Luke Shaw to be a left back. Let's hope he kicks on more in that position, considering he's been playing left side centre back most of the season. I think that's a really good position for Luke Shaw to show I can stay fit and play this position going up and down the line, getting my crosses into the box. I think he'll have more opportunity to get crosses into the box against Wolves. I think in the middle of the park he'll have Ugarte and Casemiro again. don't know if Ugarte will thrive the same way, having to play in possession-based football, which I expect us to do against Wolves, but let's see. I think his 2-10s will be Mount. Well, his 2-10s. I think his... Oh wait, I've gone with the back four here. I think his 3 midfielders will be Ugarte, Casemiro, and I think it will be Jack Fletcher, unless Mason Mount's fit, and then I'll go with Mason Mount. And then I think across the front line it'll be Cunha, Dorgu, and Sesko once again. And I really hope Dorgu has another really good performance to build that momentum, build that confidence. And Amorim said it himself, he has more freedom playing there because he's not worried about every single move. I think that really helped him. And against Wolves, he could build that confidence even further. I really like Dorgu's attitude. I like his passion. I like his work rate. I've been critical of him, but he's got the right fundamentals. And if he can kick on, I'll praise Amorim for his management of that player, of giving him that opportunity. I know he was kind of forced into his hands, but nobody said play Dorgu right wing against Newcastle. Nobody did. Amorim kind of saw that potential in him. And if he builds his confidence through that game and then potentially even this game while there is players out, then fair play to Amorim, and we can kind of look back in that and say hopefully Dorgu can kick on as well. I've actually transferred Dorgu into my FPL team for this week, so fingers crossed he can do something for me. Clean sheet hopefully against Wolves. The only thing I can see Wolves being a threat at, I mean, they've not got Andre, who's one of their key players in their team. He's on a suspension, but the only thing I can see Wolves being a threat at is coming here and parking the bus and us not really having many answers to break them down, because we are very thin on the ground with players who can pull them strings. Mainu's out, Bruno's out, and Mbumo's out, Ahmad's out. Like, we are missing a lot of players. But Sesko, it's time. Cunha, it's time. Dorgu is building some confidence. So I still think we've got enough to beat one of the worst Prem teams that we've ever seen. However, nearly got a point out of Arsenal, so you've got to keep that in the back of your mind. Look, I'm going to go with a 2-0. 2-0 to Manchester United. I think it's going to be a clean sheet. I'm going to go with a Cunha goal and a Sesko goal. So either a Cunha goal and a Sesko goal or a Cunha goal and a Casemiro goal. That's what I'm feeling. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. But come on, United have got to win this game.